Hello there. Now, it's no secret that fluency in the international tongue figures amongst the most celebrated skills in the latter-day world. Unfortunately, I do not believe in any shortcuts or tricks that secure fluency. I am, however, going to share with you the basics of new language acquisition, along with all of my personal habits that got me very friendly with the language, slipping me eventually into the shoes of a language trainer. All I ask of you is to watch the remaining length of the video with faith and a long-lasting resolve to succeed, for nothing great was ever achieved without a little pain. Let's begin. We start with habit number 1. Now here's the problem with almost 90% of those seeking fluency, and that's expecting output without enough input. We want to speak, we try to speak, but when despite repeated efforts the words don't come out, crestfallen we throw in the towel and give up. So what wrong needs to be made right? Think about it. Can you make a car go without fuel? Can you make a machine work without power or effort? No, right? Then why expect words to just flow out the lips like a waterfall without taking in ample input through the ears? Yes, listening and listening copiously is the first habit you need to get into, dear friends, in order to become fluent. Listening, that's your big plan, Mohit? Heard it a million times. I understand your skepticism. Just hear me out as I quickly teach you the right use of this potent weapon by quickly taking you through the why, how long, and how much behind listening. Let's go. Why listen? Reason number 1. So the first why behind listening is that listening taught you your first language. Today that you are so fluent in your native tongue, you owe it almost entirely to listening. Ask yourself, did you read any books before speaking your first words in the language that you originally speak? No, right? On the contrary, you imbibed the language through your immediate surroundings, hearing it being spoken at your home, amongst your friends, on TV, radio, etc. Your brain, that is automatically designed to receive and imbibe language, associated the speech that you heard with the things that you saw around you, and you learned vocabulary. Also, when you repeatedly heard different sentences in your mother tongue, without even realizing, you began to learn sentence structures and hence grammar. The outcome? Before even reading a single line of the written word, you started uttering your first tongue naturally and confidently. And that's why listen. Reason number 2. The second reason why you must vest your faith entirely into listening is that speaking is a fast skill. If you wish to be fluent, you cannot afford the luxury of time for translating sentences in your mind into English from your native tongue as you speak. You're going to sound very weary and tiresome to your audience. The cure to this? Only if you have heard sentences enough, heavily and frequently in the target foreign language, which in this case is English, will sentences flow out naturally and spontaneously. All your mind has to do is quite simply release a sentence in English through your lips that suits the situation without having the need to recall. And that's only going to happen if you've heard the sentence in the target language enough. I know you're thinking this may call for intense memorizing. I'd advise you to wait for us to get to the how section that's coming up. You will find relief. And that's all about the why behind listening. Let us now get into some creative approaches to develop and amplify your listening habit by delving into the how behind listening. Let's go. How to listen. So if, like me, you're located in a non-English speaking nation, it's almost a given that finding an English speaking environment all day long would be your greatest challenge. You agree? Great. Well, fear not. If there's little to no speaking atmosphere, create yourself your very own listening atmosphere instead. In fact, there's no use of a speaking environment if you haven't plunged into an abundant listening milieu. It's like you're going out to sell milk with the milk bottles empty. It is only once that you've gained ample speaking reserve through listening that you can comfortably go ahead and execute it. Let's see how we can create ourselves a good listening environment. Method number 1. Movies and television series. If you've heard this advice before, hear my take on it as well. Perhaps the best listening and learning environment is conjured up by movies and television series. Nothing, in fact, helps the memory and language more. If you generally have ample time, toggle between movies and TV series both. But if you keep a busy schedule, prefer yourselves half-hour shows, let's say along with meals, before bed, or any other time when you can easily slip them in. In fact, as a schoolboy, this is how I started out initially. In the beginning, I'll admit it was rather dull because I wouldn't understand the story or most of the dialogues because of the accent and so on. But what kept me going was the satisfaction that I was doing something that most people around me were not. Sure enough, month by month, year by year, I didn't even realize when I had begun understanding quite naturally and how the same English had started seeping into my daily language. Yes, I was a schoolboy, I started out early, and I had time. But it's still not late, dear friends. As adults, our understanding is more honed and hence sharper, and that reduces the overall tenure of learning. Now, how to watch video content from the perspective of language acquisition and get the best out of it? I'll share a few fun combinations. First, watch the content with English subtitles. Read and listen only what you can comfortably without specially trying to understand. You want to make sure this doesn't turn into a boring chore. Take in what you catch, let go what you don't. Continue this process until you start feeling more comfortable. In your next watch, repeat the same content preferably, but this time with subtitles in your own language, wherever available, of course. This helps the mind associate the two languages, and through translation, you learn to appreciate the differences in the sentence structures between the two languages, giving you the necessary grammar input. You also have the option to switch between the audio tracks of the video. This is to mean that now you watch the video content with the characters' speeches dubbed in your mother tongue. But now you must switch the subtitles back to English. So let's say if your video is playing with the Hindi audio track, your subtitles must play in English and vice versa. Doing so, you push yourself to think on your feet, that is to say that you push your mind to think instantaneously in the target language by relating and associating. You are training your brain over here to think fast, and that's precisely what is needed to be fluent. It's a mental workout, if you will. Yes, it's going to tire you out initially, but never forget that your mission is big. You are setting sail on a journey to acquiring a life skill. That sort of thing takes people years in traditional schooling to master. Thanks to technology, though, today the same timeline has been or can be reduced to a matter of few dedicated months. The remote control is on your lap. You are the master of your own destiny, the captain of your own ship, the king or queen of your own castle. Yes, I understand, you get the point. Cheers. On to method number 2 for listening. The second great listening resource is audiobooks and podcasts. While you can't always watch, it is of great use to submerge your subconscious mind into the desired lingual environment as well. Remember, listening to a language passively is just as important as listening to it actively. This is where audiobooks and podcasts come in handy. Enjoy listening to great books and lessons while on the go. Whether you are driving, walking to somewhere, or just sauntering casually, your earphones or your car stereo are your channels to not just language instruction, but to knowledge as well. Moreover, at nights when you struggle to find sleep, these effective means of language immersion can become a sweet lullaby, sending you off to dreamland. It's a win-win really, isn't it? I personally enjoy listening to books downloaded from Audible and podcasts from Apple. These figure amongst the popular choices, but there's a sea of options out there. Feel free to take the plunge. This is all about listening as your means to fluency. Let's now go ahead to habit number 2 for added fluency. Let's go. Habit number 2, think in English. Now, just like the sun and the moon, our human mind is ever active and restless. There is so much fecund and incessant activity going on in there that can be used for language learning. It is like having unlimited language learning fuel that you can use. What is our aim once again? It is to speak with fluidity with zero translation lag. If one is to achieve the zero translation lag, one needs to have thoughts transferred to the lips the moment they occur in the mind. And for this to happen successfully, the thoughts already need to be in English, of course. How do we get there? Let's see. Start out easy, thinking your daily thoughts in English for a total of 5 minutes. That is all. I wonder if we have coffee in the kitchen. What date is it? Where did I put my glasses? I guess we're out of shampoo. Now, initially, this too will come with its own set of challenges. Many a time you will have yourself half-cooked sentences. You will struggle for vocabulary, while other times you will be lost for right grammar. It's all right. That's how it rolls. You get some, you miss some. Rest assured, if you keep at it, your success rate will eventually surge. There's a perfect logic underlying that as well, which is that all the gaps that you experience in your thinking will be gradually filled in by all the watching and listening that you do. Don't be surprised if while watching or listening to something, you find answers to all such gaps and you find yourself crying out with joy that, oh, so that's how you say it. Or, okay, so that's the word for, whatever you were thinking. And that tells you that it has started to work for you. These are all measures and techniques tried and tested firsthand, and successfully so. And I give you myself to serve as a living and humble proof of the outcome. And I do not offer this proof as a credit to me, but to the methods discussed here and to serve as a testimony to their efficacy. I will, however, note over here that I was fortunate enough to find the speaking environment at school itself. Nonetheless, all the practices discussed here undeniably helped me sharpen the skill and develop an edge over many. In my day, although there were no streaming services playing subtitles, my only tools to rely upon were English television, my eyes and ears. And I thank myself for putting my trust in them. And now we come to the most important part. How long will all this take? Now, this is the part where my honesty dons the cloak of brutality, I'm afraid. Let's go on to that. Observe the little flow diagram coming up on your screen. At stage 1, you immerse yourself in the lingual environment through the means we talked about. You do it every day as a rigorous and religious habit. Whenever you skip, double the dosage of listening and watching the day next. Doing so will automatically help echo foreign words and expressions in your mind. At stage 2, thought transformation, you're going to push yourself to think in the target language. You may rest assured that this is where the efforts of stage 1 will begin to pay off, as you will get good help from the sentence structures and the vocabulary acquired at stage 1. Stage 3 will serve as the acid test to your endeavors. You need really push yourself. Remember studying like crazy the last day before an exam? So much so that when you lay down to sleep, your mind would keep echoing lines from the text without you even trying to do so? Sure enough, when you did fall asleep, you would find yourself studying for the exam even in dreams. Now that's exactly what needs to happen here as well. You need to immerse yourself in the English language environment to the extent where your mind echoes of it and you find yourself conversing in English even in your dreams. Now this may sound a little impracticable and silly, but it is something experienced by me firsthand and by my industrious and zealous pupils as well. If you're still unconvinced, ask yourself that if you can dream in your native tongue, there is nothing stopping the same from happening in the desired foreign tongue. The mind reproduces or plays back all that is fed to it copiously, frequently, and in large amounts. It's that simple. Now, it's all very rational. However, here comes the bitter pill of truth to swallow. Language is an art, and art involves no shortcuts. So my friends, this journey of life skill acquisition is going to take you at least 6 months to a year's time, depending on where you are right now. And I stand by my words, even at the risk of having the video disliked. Now, before leaving, a final word on the psychological aspects of language learning. Now, if you're going to win this fight, you're going to have to keep your fuel tank overflowing with morale and hope. And to do that, I'd recommend also burying your face into self-help books from time to time that help you bounce back when you feel crestfallen and browbeaten. Because if you're going to do this very seriously, I have a feeling you're going to need this extra nudge. Also, if you see yourself as a reserved, introverted type, I'd encourage you to develop a more outgoing and interactive personality. Being introverted is no flaw or fault at all, but sometimes the lack of language skills is actually the lack of interpersonal confidence. The two are often confused. The moment you break the ice around you, language gushes out like a waterfall. With such positive musings, I leave you here with the encouragement to leave comments of your success or failure while trying this, and we'll see if we can win this battle together. Cheers and best wishes. Until next time.